Okay, problem 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're going to need paper. If you don't have paper taken out right now, I need you to pause the video, take some paper out, because you need to work some of these problems out. They are not all in y equals. So like this one, we need to solve for y. Okay? This one, we're going to solve for y. 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 And this one, we're going to solve for y. Because we're looking for the slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. Problem 1 and 2, you need to circle the ones that are parallel. So find two that have the same slope and circle them. Number 3 and 4, you're going to circle the ones that are perpendicular. So find two that are perpendicular to each other and circle them. Okay? So I'm going to do problem number 1, and I'm going to do problem number 3, and then you'll do 2 and 4. So on another sheet of paper, let's go ahead and solve number 1, the first equation. We're solving for y, solve for y, because I need to know what the slope is. So write it down, 4x minus 4y equals 2. Draw the line. What do I move first? The x. 4x. Move it over, change the sign. That's a minus 4x. And the last step is 2. Divide by negative 4. That's a negative right there. So divide everything by negative 4. Y equals 2 divided by negative 4. Math enter. 2 divided by negative 4, math enter, is negative 1/2. And negative 4 divided by negative 4 is a positive 1x. What's the slope? 1. Put m equals 1. The other one that we need to solve is x plus y equals 3. So write that down. X plus y equals 3. Draw the line. Move the x over, change the sign. That's a minus 1x. And then there's nothing to divide. I'm done. So the equation is y equals 3 minus 1x. What's the slope? Negative 1, because it has a negative in front of it. So m equals negative 1. So now let's go look at our equations. Right here next to this one, I would put m equals 1. Next to this one, what's the slope of this? Negative 1. So m equals negative 1 for this one because there's a negative 1 in front of the x. The slope of this one was also m equals negative 1. And what's the slope of this one? 3. M equals 3. It says circle the parallel lines. Which two are parallel? The second equation and the third equation. That's all you have to do for problem number 2. Problem number 3. The only one that I need to solve is this one right here. So on that other sheet of paper, on your scratch sheet of paper, let's solve it real quick. Solve for y. The equation is 5x minus 2y. Oh no, 5x minus 2x equals 8. So can I solve for y on this one? No. So I'm going to have to solve for x because there's only x's. So the first thing you do is combine these two, which is 5x minus 2x. 5x minus 2x, 3x. Okay, 5 minus 2 is 3, that's why. Equals to 8. What's the last step? Divide by 3. So my equation's x equals 8 over 3. That means it's a vertical line. And the slope, m, is undefined. Okay, because it looks like this. It's a vertical line like that. Those slopes are undefined. Okay, we just got to memorize it. X equal lines have undefined slopes. So let's go write that down on our paper. X equals, oh no, m equals undefined. Okay, so what's the slope of the first equation? Negative 2 over 5. What's the slope of the second equation? Negative 5 over 2. And what's the slope of the third equation? M equals 2 over 5. I need the ones that are perpendicular. Perpendicular. So if you flip it and change the sign, which two are perpendicular? Flip and change the sign. One has to be positive, one has to be negative. The second and the third one. Okay, look. If I flip the 5 and the 2, that's 2 over 5. And if I change the sign from a negative to a positive, these two are perpendicular slopes. Okay? So that's what you need to do for problem number 4. Scroll down to problem number 4 at the bottom. Scroll down to 4, because these are asking to find only the slopes. So m equals, you need to find the slopes here. Problem number 4 says a line parallel to the line of x equals 8. Well, we just talked about x equal lines have what type of slope? Undefined slope. So this one, the slope is undefined. And for it to be parallel, what does the other slope have to be? Undefined. Okay, they both have to be vertical lines for them to be parallel. And then number 5 says a line perpendicular to this equation. What's the slope of this one? M equals negative 1, right? Which is negative 1 over what? Over 1. So if I flip it and change the sign, what is my new slope? Positive 1 over 1. Right? Positive 1 over 1, which equals to a positive 1. Okay, I don't want you to get too confused with those. Problem number 6. 6 and 7. They're giving you a y-intercept. That's your B. So these should be easy. You just need an M and a B to write the equation. For instance, problem number 6 says that you need to write the equation of a line with a y-intercept of 4. So my B is 4. And it's parallel to this equation. Well, if it's parallel, it has the same slope. So what's the slope of this one? Write it down. M equals negative 3/4. So the slope of this one has to be negative 3/4. So now that I have my M and my B, okay, you write the equation y equals mx plus b. What is my equation? Negative 3 over 4x plus 4. Okay, you're going to do the same thing for number 7, except they're talking about perpendicular. So you're going to flip and change the sign of the slope. On the back, let's go to the back. Let's do problem number 9. You're going to do problem number 8. I'm going to do number 9. These are like the ones that you had homework on last week, where they give you a point, x and y, and they give you a slope. It says, write the equation of the line that passes through this point and is perpendicular to this equation. So, what's the slope of this one? 7. M equals 7. If I want it to be perpendicular, what is it going to be? It's going to be a negative 1 over 7. You flip it, and you change the sign. So this is my M, this is my X, this is my Y. You're going to use the point slope formula that's on the green sheet, which says Y minus Y1 equals M, which in this case is negative 1 over 7, parentheses, X minus X1, and plug in your numbers. Remember that? My Y is 5, so you're going to put 5 here. My X is 7. You're going to put 7 here. And you're going to distribute the negatives here and here. So, negative 1 times 5 is negative 5. So, Y minus 5 equals, bring down the negative 1/7, parentheses. And when I distribute this one here, it makes my 7 a negative. So, X minus 7, close parentheses. What's the next step? Distribute the negative 1/7. So, negative 1/7 times X and negative 1/7 times a negative 7. Make sure that you put those in parentheses when you put it in the calculator. And we're going to move the negative 5 over, make it a positive 5. Okay, so what's negative 1/7 times X? Negative 1/7 X. This one is the one that you have to do in the calculator, and you have to make sure that you put it in parentheses. So this is how I would do it. Parentheses, negative 1/7 times negative 7. Enter. And that gives you a positive 1. So it came out a good number. So let's put plus 1. And don't forget the plus 5. Y equals. So what's the last step? Combine like terms. So 1 plus 5 is 6. Y equals negative 1/7 X plus 6. So right here, this is where you put your equation. It says equation Y equals negative 1/7 X plus 6. And what is the y-intercept of the new equation? 6. It's that number right there by itself. 6. Okay, number 8 is the same. Number 11 is the same. Cross out number 10. I don't want you to do it. Cross out problem number 10. Do not do 10. And the only other one that I'm going to help you with is problem number 12 really quickly, because you can barely see it on the graph right there. Problem number 12. Write an equation in slope-intercept form of a line that is parallel to this one, okay, and has a y-intercept of negative 2. So I need an M and a B, and they already gave me the B. The B is negative 2. Okay? They told you that the B is going to be negative 2. The y-intercept is going to be negative 2. So it says parallel to this one, so I need to find the slope of this one, and that's going to be the same slope, right? So 2 points, 1, 2, rise over run. How much is that? 3 over 1, which is just 3. So there goes my M, there goes my B. Y equals 3x minus 2. You're going to do the same thing for number 13, except they want a perpendicular one, and they want the y-intercept